Say good morning to Sally. Thank you, Sally, for getting us all mic'd up. So good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's installment of our library lecture series. We got a full house today, and I am your library director, Pamela Monroe, and we are so pleased to welcome you to the Stories Behind the Names, exploring local history using story maps. Now in its 9th year, the Library Lecture Series brings our community together to explore ideas that inspire, inform, and enrich our daily lives. From literature and local history to science, wellness, and more, this series supports lifelong learning and thoughtful conversations. Today's program invites us to look more closely at the names we see every day on our streets, buildings, and public spaces, and discover the people and stories behind them. We're excited to welcome Marcus Curtis, a GIS specialist with Tallahassee, Leon County Geographic Information Systems. Marcus has contributed to award-winning story maps and worked closely with local museums and the Bicentennial History Task Force to help bring Leon County's past to life through digital tools and storytelling. Using historic maps, archival photos, and interactive technology, Marcus will guide us through a fantastic and fascinating exploration of community, memory, and identity. Now, please welcome and join me in giving a very warm welcome to Marcus Curtis.
All right, how's everybody?
Great.
See. Okay. Move this up a little bit. Yeah. Just need to be able to see it.
It's
Awesome.
Oh, we are recording this for our library YouTube page as well, so you'll be able to find it later. But if you ask any questions, your voice will be recorded for that, just so you all know. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? All right, awesome. My name is Marcus Curtis, and I'm glad to be here with everybody. I see some familiar faces. Is there anybody in the crowd that is not a GIS user or is not familiar with GIS? Few, all right. I'll just kind of give you a synopsis of GIS. GIS stands for Geographical Information Systems. GIS is also a software. It's also a science, and it's also a discipline. So you can go to school and get a GIS degree from college. And also, in my opinion, GIS is also venturing into artistic work. And so with that, I want to share with you a few stories and just some of the tales behind the scenes. But first, I want to go through an overview. TLC GIS is part of an interlocal group between the city, the county, and the property appraiser. It gives an opportunity for us to have our data all in one location and reduce redundancies and costs. So we've been researching how Tallahassee has came to be in the Leon County community for approximately about 10 years, specifically in the history realm. And so we've been using GIS to kind manage the data, because oftentimes in history, the documents are segmented, they're siloed, and oftentimes the data is unstructured. So I wanted to start with the expansion of the colonies, the 13 colonies, the British colonies that eventually became United States. And here we have, right under this map here is from 1766. So it's right before the Revolutionary War. And so during this time period, the British had a ruler of this area for 20 years. And it was only returned during the Treaty of Paris, which concluded the American Revolution. And here we have another map in 1774, is right before. And so you can get an idea of the land and whose possession it was in. You can see Spanish possession has quite a bit of this area, and also you could see where it's considered to have Indian country. And so what I want to do here, I want to speak about the American War of Independence. Was actually from 1775 to 1783. And it was between Great Britain, France, Spain, and also the Netherlands. And then we go into the venture into the transition over to Spanish rule, which actually the Spanish gained in 1764 to 1821. But during this time period, you had settlers moving into Florida and the Southeast from the north, the colonists, Maroons, you had the indigenous populations that was moving around. And in particular, one individual named William Bartram came into the Southeast to identify plants. He was a naturalist. He also documented indigenous tribes, the livestock, the wildlife, and so on. He's akin to like Lewis and Clark, who went out west. And here's a book that he wrote in 1792 that was published about his travels in East and West Florida. And this is some of the area that he discussed in his travels. The Alachua Savannah, which is Payne's Prairie area. He was an artist. He drew the alligator hole, and this is a depiction of the alligators he saw in that particular area during that time period. And the whole premise behind him coming, he was hired by a gentleman in London to actually identify plants that to expand his garden. And for the United States expansion, they had to sell land. And here are a few publications to show that the land is being advertised in different places as far as Ohio and up north. And this map identifies the territorial growth. So you can see the original United States by 1783. You can see the boundaries, and which Florida was not party to that at that time. In 1819 is when Florida became part of the United States. And this is pretty much the sentiment during that time period, from the Revolutionary War and up to the eve of the Civil War. This song was written in 1859 by Daniel Emmett. I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times, they're not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In Dixieland, where I was born, in the early one frosty morn, look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. This was pretty much the sentiment during that time period. And so the migration was already occurring, although there was on the precipice of the Civil War in 1861. And so the migration happened. This is similar to the Beverly Hillbillies that load up the car and move away. And this is the 19th century SUV. I do have a question. The picture on the right, would this be considered a 2 horsepower contraption? Because you have a horse here and you have a mule. So I'm not sure if the mule is more than the horse or shorter. So additional transportation was held by stagecoaches, and stagecoaches delivered the mail from different places. This is a depiction of a stagecoach on the Camino Real, Old St. Augustine Road, the King's Road, the King's Highway. So I just want to touch on some of the events that happened during this time period, which ultimately helped shape this particular community and state. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803, the War 1812, the Patriot War of 1812, the Creek Civil War of 1813, the Treaty of Fort Jackson, August 9th, 1814. That was in Alabama. The destruction of the Negro Fort on the Apalachicola River, 1816. The First Seminole War in 1819. The Adams-Onis Treaty in 1819. Andrew Jackson becomes governor of Florida on November 11, 1821. City of Tallahassee and Leon County both established in 1824. And so the establishment of the local government came about, and then thus you have to sell that land that was previously being advertised. And so the public land survey system came into effect, where the surveys actually started here in Cascade Park for the United States, for Florida in the United States. And this is a depiction of that survey that they started, which you can see Tallahassee right here in the center. East-west is the baseline, north-south is the prime meridian. And that survey general at the time was Robert Butler, who also had a plantation that was on Lake Jackson, right near his burial site is near Prowler Road. And so he also worked with George Walton II. And this person is attributed as being the one who actually set the marker, which was eventually replaced in 1925. And you see it here on the left. This is the image of the one that was replaced. And the new marker, as you can see right here, is set in Cascade in the plaza. And you can see it right here. This is Leon County where that plaque is. And so this corner is the southwest corner of also considered to be the Lafayette Land Grant. So you have these individuals that has tremendous ties. Andrew Jackson, Butler, you have Lafayette. You have so many individuals that came to this community. And Lafayette didn't actually come, but he owned property here. And this is Soils map. There we are. And this is, oh, okay. And that is moving a little slow here. It's a lot of data. But this soils map will give you an idea of where soils are located, which also contributes to agricultural crop production. And so certain plants grow in certain regions at certain temperatures with certain types of soil. That was the reason by adding that. And during this time period, the change happened in the increase of migration and enslaved persons. The invention of the cotton gin by Eli Whitney, which also contributed to the higher capacity of bringing cotton to the marketplace. And here is a copy of the patent that was secured from the Library of Congress that Eli Whitney had patent. And so thus, with money involved, there seems to be disputes and the resources of the South, and secession eventually came. And you can see here outlined in the gray, it are the states that decided to secede from the Union. And thus, right after was the Civil War. And so you have here King Cotton, and this marker is a testament to how much bales of cotton was contributed going through the Apalachicola. This marker is actually down in the Apalachicola. By 1840, 130,000 bales of cotton annually left this port. So that's quite a considerable amount of cotton. And this is a firm indication of why that is. You can see here, this is what is considered to be the slave density map. This map shows the high concentration of enslaved persons. And here's Tallahassee here, which during this time, 1860, was 74% of enslaved persons. I think the population was around 12,000 people, so 9,000 of those individuals were enslaved at that time. So here's another timeline here from 1828 to 1860. Andrew Jackson elected president. The Indian Removal Act of 1830. Andrew Jackson had a scandal called the Petticoat Affair, where Miss Eden was ostracized by the cabinet, and eventually the cabinet all resigned, and so they parted ways and had a disagreement. The Second Seminole War started in 1835, the Armed Occupation Act of 1842. The Second Seminole War ended in 1842. The Third Seminole War started in 1855, and then the Civil War started on April 12, 1861. So, and that brings us to John Branch. John Branch was governor of North Carolina, 1817 to 1820. He was a commissioner of evaluation of lands and dwellings and a number of other things. But what interests us in this community here is he also became the governor of Florida. So, and this is where he was born in Edenfield, Halifax County, North Carolina. And I managed to find a structure that is believed to have been built by him in the historic district of Edenfield. And we do have that, and it's still there on Google Street View. You can see this building. This is Enfield, Halifax County, North Carolina. And this is the historic district. So John Branch picked up and took that 19th century SUV and moved down here to Tallahassee. And circa 1836, where he established the Live Oak Plantation, which is Live Oak Plantation Road. And I did find the boundaries to that from a historic deed. So we do have that on file. He eventually moved back after he became governor, moved back to North Carolina. This is his headstone. And I did find the cemetery where he's located. So it's there. And his daughter, Susan Branch, married Arthur Hopkins. Arthur Hopkins' grandson was a city manager here at Tallahassee, and the power plant is named after him. And their plantation was a Goodwood plantation during that time period. Dr. Edward Bradford, he married Martha Branch on 10th of November, 1825 in Halifax, North Carolina. Pine Hill Plantation is on Bradfordville over by the Coles. That's where his plantations were. And also William Bailey, his plantation was in Jefferson County. So all of these are colleagues, they have connections by marriage. There's a ton of information here. And so I just kind of briefly put a little map together here to kind of show some of the points. This, to give idea, this is the Camino Real we are stitching together as time permits. This big blob of brown here is the Forbes purchase. Forbes purchase 1.4 million acres that the Pantheon Electrical Company and John Forbes, they acquired from the Native American population. The blue square here represents the Lafayette Land Grant. This blue dot here represents the prime meridian marker. This is Goodwood here, these points here. This is the Live Oak Plantation boundary. And it was found in deed book P, page 386, and that deed was in 1870. And this is the Pine Hill Plantation boundary here. And so we painstakingly stitched together and geo-referenced the old terms rubber sheeting. We geo-referenced the state of North Carolina and South Carolina, but we are in the Halifax region here. And we do have a variety of points. And Henry Bradford is also an individual that's been in this area. The Bradfords did intermarry with the branches, so they are related. And so if you some of the genealogists here, that's an interesting way to kind of stitch it together. I'm always fascinated how they look at the census data and piece this together. And while I'm looking at it spatially, I think it complements each other. But we can also look at that, which also Henry Bradford, Edward Bradford, they're related. And William Bradford of the Colony of Plymouth is their ancestor. And I've mapped that as well. I think it's in here. Yeah, right there. So from Plymouth Rock, all the way down to Florida, relatives. And also Susan Branch Bradford Epps, she is also related, who married Nicholas Ware Epps, which Nicholas is related to Francis Epps, which is related to Thomas Jefferson. And so there's a connection there. You have multiple governors, multiple military men, presidents, all associated with these individuals and families that's connected to our little town here in Tallahassee. And also here's the Ford Niem's house. James Ford, the former mayor of Tallahassee, his family owned this house. And they also were associated with the Niem's family. And the Niem's family here is associated with Frank Niems, who was also a principal. He worked at Lincoln. He also was the school, the Niem school is named for him. And also here on the right is Casanas, Angel Casanas, and Madeline had a daughter, and her name was Aquilina Howe, which was the assistant superintendent for Leon County Schools. Which another backstory to that is they're associated with Lewis Taylor, the Taylor House that's over in Frenchtown. Mr. Taylor was the first, believed to be the first African American to teach Caucasian children for pay. And he was also a jeweler. He was an enterprising man. Captain John Parkhill, he was also from Virginia, and we have a few articles here that's from the Phoenix Gazette. And that shows up Turbot. But they were also connected. And let's see. Yeah, just showing that he was associated with certain individuals to start a organization or a company. So he was an enterprise man as well. So he was actually individual that was in the military who was killed in battle by an individual named Billy Bowlegs, a whole lot of Miko, and his obelisk is standing out in front of the state capitol. And there's an article here that talks about Mr. Parkhill is part of the volunteers here. And here's Billy Bowlegs. This image was found in the Florida Memory Collection, and also this has been color enhanced by one of our staff persons here. She's done a wonderful job in trying to clean up this image. But Billy Bowlegs is known to be one of the individuals who were fighting against the United States military and Florida militia. And he was eventually he moved on from the Central Florida and went to Oklahoma. And this is the parcel that John Parkhill I found in the historic data. You can see the green here up in near Orchard Pond, over here next to TN and the east side of town. It was my misunderstanding when I heard about Parkhill and where he lived, and I was mistaken, and I thought he lived in Bear Air, but this is showing where his properties were. And so I'm at a loss on that, and so I have to misdirect and have to see where the data takes me. And so Bel Air is down in this southeast area here. And Reverend Page also was born in Richmond, Virginia. He was enslaved by Parkhill. He was known to start many churches here. And they have a new historical marker that's out in front of Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. And here's the marker here. Reverend Page also was the proprietor of the Bel Air School. Here's a church that Bethel Missionary Baptist Church building that was moved over to the Tallahassee Museum. So you can go visit that. That structure is still there. And it was moved there for a bicentennial event for FAMU. And I do have a couple of pictures that show the state the building was in during that time period. I just didn't add them because this is a long presentation here. But this is the deed for that schoolhouse. And one thing that I found in deed book P, page 552, recorded in 1870. It was by Reverend James Page, Marion Wilson, and Edmund Shakespeare. The Shakespeare name also has connections to the Neums family. Shakespeare here is the Edmund Shakespeare is actually been the owner of the land for the school. And then he has a brother, Albert, I believe his name, who has bought and sold property with the Neums. So they have relationships. And you can tie relationships back when you see their transactions. And so they were both in the same community. And here is the Rosenwald Bell House School. Rosenwald, I'm not sure if many of you know that the Rosenwald school collection was about 5,300 schools. And Rosenwald was Julius Rosenwald, who was of Sears fame, Sears Roebuck. And also you have to know that Booker T. Washington worked with Rosenwald in creating these schools, and they did come into the communities. And if you happen to retrieve the Fisk University Rosenwald School Collection Map, and you overlay that with the slave density map, they are identical. And I just want to show you this. This is a comparison map. So if you take this, you can see the structure there. And this is 1949, and to the right is 2024. So this is the 1949 and 1954 comparison map. So we can see the structure there in 1949, and 1954 is not there. So what happened? We did a little digging, and we found that the building was moved. And this is the letter to identify that was written in 1959, identifying that the structure had been moved, and there may be a little something about the ownership at this time, because during Reconstruction, oftentimes people left their land. The Bureau, the Freedmen Bureau would take that land and they'll acquire it. They'll go back and sell it, and other individuals gain title over the course of time. It's a process to do that, but typically I just kind of summed it up real quickly. And here is the 1970 map that identifies that area right here. There's 10 acres. And this is a tax cadastral map that gives you the boundary lines. And here's the cemetery. And so we mapped the cemetery. We have to identify those cemeteries. And so that goes back to that deed that we showed previously. And this the transaction here. In deed book YY page 266 is where this transaction occurred. This is the site for the one-room schoolhouse, and this is the historical marker, I believe, right there. So we can take a look at that. Yeah. That's a new historical marker that's there. George Washington Parkhill was John Parkhill's son, and he went to school up north. He married Elizabeth Bellamy, excuse me, and he was killed in the Civil War, June 27, 1862, at the Battle of Gaines Mill. And this was the Tuscarora plantation boundary, overlaid on top of the 1883 tax cadastral map. So in summary, we talked about pioneering families and their migrations. We mentioned the cemeteries that's associated with those plantations. We also showed a few historical structures. We talked about the historic district and communities. We prefaced some of the historic events that happened, and the tie of it all is spatial locations. So if you know where something happened, you can map it. If you have the XY coordinates, you can take that and you can do a lot with it. So you could, if you know 2 points, your place of your residence and your work, you know how many miles it takes to get there or in time. And so we use that to our advantage. If we have those spatial locations, we can gain more stories, we can find more things. We know more people are connected. They have business relationships and a lot. And so with that, I want to be able to take you to our website here. And I want to show you how you can leverage this information without being an expert at it. Now, this is public, it's out there, it's available. I want to show you the tax cadastral map. We are updating this, so stay tuned if you would like to, contact us, feel free. So this is a tax cadastral map, and when you zoom in, you can see ownership from 1883.
What is this website?
It's Explore Historical Tallahassee History in Your Hands, tlcgis.org/history. And if you see me later, I could talk with you on that. But this gives you an idea. So, if this is Lake Lafayette and you wanted to know where the new FEMA floodplain is located on this old map, let's see, it might be running a little slow here. Yeah, we didn't. But we can add it here. Saying it failed. Let's see. Something that's not too heavy. There's a lot of information there. That's failing. Technology. But it does work. Also, if you're curious to know about some of those topics, we provided the resources here for you to actually take a look at those historical maps. For all the stories that we provide, the source data, this website is built for the public with public consumed data. If you check with me afterwards, I'll get it to you, okay? So it's tlcgis.org/history, but yeah, it's on the website. We'll get to it. For those GIS users, you can, let's see if this works. So you can download the GLO, General Land Office, Bureau of Land Management from the federal government, Department of Interior. Their surveys go back to 1825, and you can, if you use GIS, you can load this right into your project without having to go in and do the hard work of georeferencing and all this. It's very time consuming. So if you like to ask some questions, feel free while I pan around. Just, yes, ma'am. This particular website?
No, I mean, his Tallahassee, right?
Roughly about 10 years. About 10 years. Yes, sir.
Did you have to go into all the individual files from all these different places?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Website, is there like a link to like all the street names that just sort of gives you a quick kind of reference for
On,
These names, McCarthy, Macomb, Jefferson.
well, not historically, but on the current street names are in our street name and addressing guide, which is hosted by Development Support and Environmental Management. But it doesn't reflect the historical
Yeah. that was-
the historical names. But however, we are attempting to extract the historical roads from historical imagery, and our imagery goes back to 1937. And so when you see a 1937 aerial imagery photo, we want to have the streets at that time period, the street names during that time period. That's a lofty goal, but we're trying to do it. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so very much for this. My family has been here since before the Civil War. I believe that they were held on the Goodwood Plantation. So when you brought that out, I was really excited for what you didn't do, and I can understand. Can I get the boundaries, or how do I find the boundaries of the Goodwood Plantation? Like you have the boundaries of the live oak plantation?
Yes, ma'am.
Just give the information for the boundaries of the Goodwood plantation.
Well, I am looking into Goodwood. However, it's way down the list. Currently, I'm working on the largest plantations of Leon County. This is the first 5. I am attempting to release the next 5 soon. And so we are working on that, but the effort it takes you would need to know historical research, and you would need to have access to the historical data.
So there is a book.
Yes or no? There's the research that I've been researching is clerk data for transactions that's been recorded in the clerk of courts. However, not everyone have that access, and not everyone can read cursive like they used to.
It was there was a lawsuit against the original owner, which was Brian Harden.
The 20-year lawsuit?
There was a lawsuit, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
over inheritance. And the property was then transferred to Harry Smith, who
Yes.
was his in-law, and then purchased by Arthur Hopkins, who is the son-in-law of John Branch.
Mm.
So I know that there have to be some, there's a trail.
There
And
he is.
I have been online trying to look for that, but I'm in house. So.
Yeah, you won't find it online.
Exactly.
Now, once I've been researching these plantations, for example, and I know that the Riley Museum, I'm working with the Riley Museum on the plantation boundaries. So when I gather this information, I give it to the Riley Museum so they can assist. I'm not at the capacity where I can assist as many people. But the Riley Museum assists with genealogy and connecting families to plantations and that sort of thing. We are not equipped for that, but we do provide the source data if we can find it and if we have it.
Well, the reason I'm interested in the Goodwood plantation is I just want to know what the boundaries are, because I think my people were on those plantations. And I want to see what is the distance from the Goodwood plantation. So if they have to work here and then work there.
Right. There's no, there's a couple of maps here and there that theorize the boundaries, but you won't find the deeds. And in some cases, people put up fences and acquire land and they moved it over. That happened years ago. I'm gonna give you a prime example. I don't want to go over too much, but this GW Holland, this is near the this is the Tall Timbers area. You see this? I couldn't find the deeds to those. And so somehow along the line, it became ownership that was transferred to Tall Timbers and something. But at this time, before 1860, I did not find the deed for that. So these boundaries are generated from historical maps. I'll just do the map action here. I found this survey. That's why I mentioned the survey. The survey here, if you zoom in, you can also see the lots and the acreage. You have the lot number, the acreage here. You have the boundaries. And I have the deed. I have the patent from the Bureau of Land Management, GLO. Combining all of that in one application, you'll be hard pressed to find that somewhere else. If I don't want to sound like I'm boastful or anything. When we started this, it was no model, no one, no access to any of it. Thank you. That's me.
Over, near West Pensacola Street, like where Jim and Mills used to be.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a street that's parallel, it's called Bellevue, was it Bellevue Plantation?
Yeah, the historical marker is right in front of the Tallahassee Museum for Bellevue. Which Bellevue was Catherine Gray Willis and Akil Marat. Catherine is great granddaughter of George Washington. And Marat is the nephew of Napoleon. I don't think it was large. It might have been moderate. They calculate large and moderate about crop production, how many bales of cotton, how much corn. And I don't, right now, I know I have that information, but I don't have it committed to memory. 500 acres. Doug says it's 500 acres. Any more questions?
Hey, Mark, do you have any haunted maps?
No, I don't have any haunted maps. I've heard a few horror stories though, but no haunted maps. Yes, sir. In the back. I'm always looking for some kind of help. However, well, the help would actually be limited because we have certain permissions that are not allowed to everybody. And so that complicates the help that you actually need. And so it'll marginalize the contribution. So I love to have help, but we have to do it a certain way because we have to check all the boxes. Because just keep in mind, this is just one spoke in the wheel. I still map septic tanks and easements and do all the other stuff. And this is just one part of what we do. TLC GIS has have about 620 different layers that's available for the public, for just public data, for modern data. The history stuff is relatively new, and we're building this for the public. Yes, sir.
What's the name of the LiDAR coverage that's in your basement gallery?
Oh, I can just turn this off. It's a LiDAR here in the gallery. And you can see all of these, you can change different years of the imagery. You can see the change in it. We have the USGS topo in here. But what I believe you're asking is about the color relief, which this is derived from LiDAR. It gives you the highs and lows. And if we was able to really get that soil map to launch, it's a lot of data. So, Wi-Fi speed and all that. but how many of you are familiar with Dakota Scarp? All right. This is roughly the Dakota Scarp line here. All of the largest 20 plantations is north of this. Can anyone tell me why? Soil type. Yeah, soil type. So the Bel Air community is right down here where it's sandy. So for those who are not familiar, Bel Air was a resort community and people came there because they had good air, you know, beautiful air. And so Bel Air, hence the word Bel Air, and the soil, it drained well because it was sandy. It didn't have a lot of pipe clay and all that, which is good for other things like cotton and sweet potatoes and whatnot. Yes, sir.
This is a really impressive project. Thank you so much. And it's obviously something in progress. So if the library had the good sense perhaps to invite you back, say 3 years from now, for not really, but for an update or a progress report, at that point, is it possible that the expression artificial intelligence would show up in your comments, or is that, I mean, am I asking about apples and oranges?
Well, no, yes, there's a couple of things. We work well with the library and I appreciate them allowing me to show you guys what I've been up to. If they would like for me to come back, you guys reach out to them. I'll be more than happy to share you other stories. I have tons of stories. I'll be more than happy. Thank you. Now, as for AI, we are venturing into using AI. Right now, it's not available, but it's ready, but it hasn't been put on the website because we're changing our website. We're updating all our apps. We have extract of the 1937 aerial imagery. It's an extract for a tree cover that was done by a user AI. So we have 37, we'll have 54, and if possible, if you receive it well, maybe we'll do some additional years. And we have some new imagery that, a colleague of mine, we're gonna tackle. We just got 1988 aerial imagery on a dolly about this high. And so we got to get that scanned, and put it in our base map switcher. My colleague in the back, Jacob Coble, he's a master wizard with imagery and touching up, make our imagery look better than when we got it from the original source. Yes, sir.
Let's do this again.
All right, you can tell you what, if once for all that want to speak to me afterwards about the website. Yeah. Well, I just want to show them down here at the bottom where you can subscribe and you can email us. It comes to me and a few others. You could let us know that you want us to participate in some form in the event. You can go through the library, talk to them. They're more than willing to work with us on that. Ms. Anderson.
Okay, yes, I'm Gloria Jefferson Anderson, and with the help of Marcus, really is, I have found all of the plantations in which my ancestors were on here in Leon County. Goodwood is one. Lenore is another. Chairs, El Destino, and of course, they intermarried each other, so I don't know where else. But anyway, he's been so helpful with me in finding the location of all of these places. My family grew up in the northeast side of town. And we call it the Red Hills of Leon County, where the sweet potatoes are really red. And he's been so helpful in working with me and some others in the community on these projects that we've been working on. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentation. I just wanted to ask if you would consider doing a documentary about the process, like even having you actually going through some of the exercises that you're going through? Because I found the process very interesting about how you're going to different locations and getting the information. And you communicating it verbally is very inspiring, but I think that also having like a smart documentary, but that's.
Well, we got somebody here that can speak to that. That's Mr. Scott Wiseman. He's a GIS coordinator for TLC GIS. Yeah.
Yeah. How about a history podcast?
Yes, sir.
I'm curious, is there an app for that?
App?
Is there an app that would be useful in finding some of this stuff or playing with some of this stuff?
Well, on our website, for, I think the task cadastral map here has been one of the favorites. Because it's a snapshot in time of ownership, and when you go back, like many of the genealogists use the census data as snapshots of time, and this gives you a spatial location, so you can focus where you want to look. Another one of my duties is to help assist with finding abandoned cemeteries. Well, you can't find the cemetery if you don't know where the plantation boundary is. You can't find that a one-room schoolhouse that was put there because that's where the enslaved people were if you don't know where the boundaries are. And so all of the things that we talked about here today, all of it are connected in one form or another.
My question was about application.
Yeah, this application here is the first step. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's online. Well, you can always call me, I'll walk you through it. Yes, ma'am.
Any of your maps searchable by latitude and longitude, if I know my location, yes, I can search.
We do have a geolocator that we use in our applications. You can use a variety of geodata coordinates.
My challenge is when I look at the older maps, there are no roads for references usually. So
Right.
if it was available by lat and long, then it would be easier to research.
If it's here in Leon County, our apps will be able to do that. A lot of the historical markers that you see, we do have lat and long for those. We do have them at, let's see, right here. Our historical way markers, this is just an example. I'm gonna close a couple of these here. I don't need that. Okay. Let's see, is it under there? Yeah. We do have the lat and long. And also, you can drop lat and long in Google Street Maps, and you can get a lat and long in some instances.
Right, but I'm interested in researching historic maps, which aren't exactly.
Well, if it's geo-referenced, it'll help you, but if it's not, and that's what the difference is of what we've been doing is taking those historic maps, put them in a place where we can search. That reduces the time. Here locally, it's fortunate enough for everybody that we do have a lot of those historic surveys all the way back to the 1820s. So we do have additional, more current maps like the 1984 plantation map. I'm working on 1970. And so we'll have those for reference. as a image on the background where you can overlay it, you can see it, you can turn it on and off, you can put a transparency on it, that sort of thing. Yes, sir.
You're doing a presentation on blogs also. What's that?
Well, that is the one that Fred George. Yeah. Well, I think the property appraiser wanted me to chime in on historical deed creation, lot history, and that sort of thing.
Similar to this or? Completely different.
I think it's going to be completely different. They asked me to join in, give my research capabilities, you know, give it a try and share with those individuals that's going to be there.
The one that's having some little museums now.
This one is supposed to be on Fred George's little museum right next to Fred George. Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. It's really very much appreciated. You mentioned Mr. Taylor of Frenchtown, believed to be the first African-American to teach white children for pay. I missed his name.
Louis Taylor. And we do have him in our data as well. I think he's in Name, Faces, and Places. For namesake, name, faces, and places, who's the name, where's the place, and all of these are variations of a street naming project. We had to identify whose name is on the street, who's on this building, the open spaces and whatnot. And so we went through the process of piecing all these individuals together. Interesting stories, tons of information. And it ties back to a variety of communities, and what separates this from a lot of the other content that you may see is the stories that are told are not confined to the county line or the city limits. Our stories are local, it's regional, it's national, it's international, and they span various conflicts. And so you'll see all of these individuals here. In here, I'm looking for Mr. Taylor. I know he's in here somewhere. And so we have tons of comment that you could just, I can't see the bar. Yeah. Do it this way. So it's these stories all have spatial locations associated with it in some form. That's Aquilina Howell there. That's the Taylor House here. That's Mr. Taylor. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Since we're on the subject, I am giving a program on the history of the naming of the streets at Tallahassee Society in October.
Second Thursday.
Okay, second Thursday, okay.
It is the second Thursday.
Second Thursday.
Yeah, in the October, it's at the mission.
That Mission Town.
You have a question? No? Any more questions? Feel free to chime in. Thank you.
Well, once again, let's give him another round of applause. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. Before you go, I just want to invite you to come back next week for our 10th or our annual fall seed library. We've got 11 varieties of fruit and vegetables and learn how to, start your fall vegetable garden. Good luck. I try every year. I have not been successful yet, but maybe this year will be the year. Also, we have a survey we would love for you to fill out because I heard some of you say you want them to come back. So if you want them to come back, you gotta fill out our survey. All right, that's the kicker. You can fill it out. They have it right outside the door. There's also though a QR code for those of you who do not want to, we don't want to wait. There's a QR code as well. You can reach his, let me see if I can get to it. If you go to the library's website, leoncountylibrary.org. I'm going to spell it wrong because that's what happens when you are on Leon Library. There you go. That way I don't have to go to the library's website. What is all this madness? Not now. Right there. You go to the library's website, research and learn. And you go to research, history in our hands. It's right there. So see, you don't even have to go far. Library's website, research and learn, and history in our hands. So thank you very much for coming. Please come again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry. Sally. Sally knows what to do. Sally has to turn this down. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I have to take it. Turn it off. I have to turn it off. Thank you. Yeah.
State library, one, two, library, and treasury.